Imagine, just for a moment, that the key to a fulfilled life doesn't lie in what we achieve, own, or even what others think of us. Imagine instead that it lies within us already, quiet, waiting to be uncovered. What if I told you that your true worth isn't something others can give or take away? This is not a thought experiment. It's a concept rooted in the wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that has guided countless individuals throughout history, helping them live with purpose, resilience, and tranquility. But what if, without realizing it, you've been undervaluing yourself? How often do we find ourselves settling for less, accepting the circumstances we're in, or hiding our true potential because we fear failure, seek comfort, or doubt our own worth? Today I invite you to pause and consider these questions deeply. We're about to peel back the layers of societal expectations and self-doubt, bringing you timeless Stoic principles to help reshape how you see yourself and your place in the world. This journey isn't just about self-improvement. It's about rediscovering your inherent worth and learning to live in alignment with your deepest values. Join me as we walk through 13 signs that might reveal where you're undervaluing yourself and, more importantly, how Stoicism can illuminate the path to genuine self-respect and fulfillment. At the end, we'll explore the Stoic approach to finding inner validation and true happiness, a conclusion that might just shift your perspective for good. So, if you're ready to break free from self-imposed limits, let's dive in together. 1. Refusing to settle for less. Why do we settle? In relationships, jobs, even in the pursuit of our dreams, how often do we find ourselves compromising, telling ourselves, "This is as good as it gets"? Whether out of fear, comfort, or a bit of both, settling can be a quiet signal that we don't fully recognize our worth. But what does Stoicism say about this? Stoicism teaches that our true essence isn't swayed by external circumstances. Whether we live in luxury or face hardship, our value remains the same because it's rooted in our ability to live in accordance with our values and virtues. Marcus Aurelius reminds us in his Meditations that while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we can control our responses. Do we let our situations define us, or do we let our principles guide us instead? When we settle, we are often choosing the familiar over the potential for growth. We may stay in a job that doesn't inspire us, remain in a relationship that feels stagnant, or hold back from chasing our dreams simply because we fear the unknown. But Stoicism challenges this notion, urging us to examine our choices. Are we living in alignment with our values, or are we compromising on them out of convenience or fear? Take a moment to reflect on a situation where you've settled. Does it bring you closer to your deepest values, or does it pull you away from them? Stoicism invites us to view each decision as an opportunity to affirm our worth by remaining true to ourselves. Settling for less isn't humility. It's often a subtle form of self-neglect, a way of telling ourselves that we don't deserve more. But we do. You do. When you find yourself accepting less than you deserve, remember the Stoic wisdom. Your worth is not determined by your job title, relationship status, or the size of your bank account. Your worth is defined by your integrity, courage, and the conviction with which you live your values. Let's not settle for less, not out of entitlement, but because recognizing our inherent worth is an essential part of living a fulfilling life. By the time we reach the end of this journey, we'll see that embracing our worth isn't just an act of self-respect. It's a path to resilience, fulfillment, and true freedom. Let's move forward, with courage, to the next sign that may reveal where we're undervaluing ourselves. 2. Recognizing the power within. What if the true power for happiness, resilience, and fulfillment lies already within you, waiting to be harnessed? Stoicism teaches that we possess an inner strength, an unwavering source of value that doesn't fluctuate with circumstances. However, when we overlook this power, we might start undervaluing ourselves, mistakenly believing that our worth is determined by external factors like wealth, status, or social approval. In today's world, it's easy to get swept up in the idea that our value is something that must be proven to others. Have you ever found yourself seeking validation from friends, colleagues, or even strangers? Do you sometimes feel that your accomplishments only matter if they're recognized by others? If so, you might be looking outward for confirmation of something that only truly resides within. Stoicism invites us to see our worth not as something external, but as an inner virtue. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of understanding the difference between what we can control, our actions, judgments, and intentions, and what lies outside our control, like opinions, success, or wealth. The Stoics believed that the real power comes from aligning our lives with virtues such as courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance. By cultivating these qualities, we nurture an unshakable sense of worth that doesn't depend on external validation. Imagine a situation where you feel dismissed or overlooked. In moments like these, Stoicism teaches us to remind ourselves of our intrinsic value. Your worth doesn't diminish because someone fails to recognize it. It remains steady because it is anchored in how you live according to your principles. True power lies in this stability, a quiet resilience that doesn't waver with the opinions of others. By grounding your sense of self in inner virtues, you create a foundation that can withstand life's uncertainties. Take a moment to ask yourself, where are you drawing your sense of worth from? Are you relying on external markers of success, or are you cultivating a deep-seated confidence grounded in virtue? Reflect on areas where you might be overlooking your inner power and ask, how would I live differently if I truly embraced my inherent worth? This is not about withdrawing from the world or disregarding meaningful achievements. Rather, it's about transforming the way you view your value. When we recognize that our worth lies within, we empower ourselves to face life's challenges with grace and strength. Embrace this inner power and let it guide you, no matter the circumstances. Now that we've explored the importance of recognizing the power within, let's move to the next sign of undervaluing ourselves: building self-trust in our decisions. 3. Building self-trust in decisions. Have you ever faced a choice, perhaps a seemingly simple one, and found yourself paralyzed, unable to decide? How often do you second-guess your instincts, fearing that you might make the wrong decision? This hesitation, this uncertainty, speaks to a deeper issue: a lack of self-trust. Stoicism offers a powerful perspective on decision-making, one that encourages confidence, clarity, and courage. In Stoic philosophy, decision-making is less about ensuring a perfect outcome and more about aligning with one's values and intentions. Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus remind us that while outcomes are beyond our control, the integrity of our choices is ours alone. What if you approached each decision, big or small, not with a guarantee of success, but with a sense of conviction in your values? Would it change the way you choose? A lack of self-trust can lead to overthinking, indecision, and a constant search for validation. Perhaps you've delayed taking a course, accepting a job, or even ending a relationship because you're afraid of the unknown. Fear of mistakes keeps us locked in familiar, yet unfulfilling cycles. However, Stoicism invites us to reframe our understanding of mistakes. Each choice, no matter the outcome, holds the potential for growth and learning. In the eyes of a Stoic, there are no failures, only lessons that shape our wisdom. Self-trust begins with acknowledging that the process matters more than the result. Rather than striving for perfection, focus on making choices that align with who you are. Ask yourself, does this decision honor my values? Am I acting with integrity? When you ground your decisions in these principles, you build confidence, regardless of how things unfold. The Stoics encourage us to practice premeditatio malorum, or negative visualization, as a way of preparing for life's uncertainties. Imagine the worst possible outcome, not to dwell on it, but to confront it with a clear, calm mind. By accepting that you can endure any result, you free yourself from the fear of failure and develop resilience. This mental exercise allows us to see that most outcomes, even the difficult ones, are manageable. Reflect on the last decision you postponed or overthought. What was your hesitation rooted in? Fear of failure or fear of judgment? Recognize that by avoiding decisions, you're relinquishing control to circumstances rather than taking charge of your path. Self-trust grows each time you act in accordance with your principles, regardless of external consequences. As we move forward, remember that every choice, when guided by virtue, builds self-trust. It's a gradual process, a journey that requires patience and practice. Now that we've touched on self-trust, let's explore another essential aspect of self-worth: embracing self-compassion and the pursuit of progress. 4. Embracing self-compassion and the pursuit of progress. Have you ever felt weighed down by your own self-criticism? Many of us set impossibly high standards for ourselves, expecting perfection and finding it difficult to forgive our mistakes. Yet, as we judge ourselves harshly, we forget a fundamental Stoic teaching: that we are, above all, human. Stoicism encourages us to pursue progress over perfection, nurturing self-compassion as we grow and learn. The Stoics understood that striving for improvement is essential, but they also saw the futility in excessive self-criticism. In the pursuit of progress, mistakes are inevitable, and setbacks are a natural part of growth. Rather than fixating on perfection, ask yourself, how can I learn from this? How can this experience help me become a better version of myself? This perspective reframes setbacks as opportunities, not failures. Why do we fall into the trap of harsh self-judgment? Often, it's because we hold ourselves to standards we would never expect others to meet. Consider this. Would you criticize a close friend as harshly as you do yourself? Would you demand flawlessness from them, or would you encourage them to keep going, knowing that their worth isn't diminished by a few missteps? Stoicism invites us to extend this same compassion to ourselves. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, reminds us that mistakes are not character flaws, but moments for learning and growth. What if, instead of berating ourselves, we viewed each challenge as a teacher? With each perceived failure, we could ask, what lesson lies here for me? By shifting from judgment to inquiry, we foster a mindset of self-compassion, understanding that growth is a journey of continuous improvement. This perspective doesn't mean we lower our standards. Rather, it means we pursue growth with patience and resilience, recognizing that setbacks are part of the path. Self-compassion in Stoicism is about treating ourselves with the same understanding and forgiveness we would offer others. This practice builds resilience, allowing us to face our challenges with a balanced, honest view. Think of it as a grounding force, one that empowers us to move forward without the weight of unrealistic expectations. When we embrace progress over perfection, we release the need for immediate results and instead cultivate a steady, sustainable approach to self-improvement. As you reflect on your journey, ask yourself, where can I be kinder to myself? Where can I let go of perfectionism and embrace steady growth? Each small step forward contributes to our progress, teaching us that the pursuit of virtue is not a straight line, but a winding path that requires patience, courage, and self-compassion. With this practice of self-compassion in mind, we move to the next important reminder, that caring for ourselves isn't selfish. It is, in fact, a necessity. 5. Practicing self-care as a foundation for helping others. Have you ever felt exhausted from constantly giving to others, only to realize that you have little energy left for yourself? It may seem noble, even heroic, to put others' needs first. But Stoicism reminds us that to be of true service to others, we must first care for ourselves. Self-care, in the Stoic view, isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. The Stoics believed that a life of virtue includes the care of our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Why? Because when we are well-rested, mentally resilient, and spiritually grounded, we become more capable of acting with patience, compassion, and wisdom. Think of it this way. Can you offer a steady hand to others if you are unsteady yourself? Can you offer comfort to others if you are deeply weary? Often we avoid prioritizing ourselves because we fear it's selfish or because we feel guilty. But Stoicism teaches us that self-care is the foundation of resilience, equipping us to face life's challenges and support those we care about. Marcus Aurelius himself emphasized the importance of balance, reminding us that we must respect our own needs if we are to live in harmony with others. Reflect for a moment on the areas of your life where you've sacrificed self-care for the sake of others. Perhaps you've missed sleep, skipped exercise, or set aside your personal goals to meet the demands of others. These sacrifices may feel justified in the short term, but over time, neglecting your own well-being can lead to burnout and resentment. Stoicism encourages us to ask, am I taking care of my physical health, my mental clarity, and my inner peace? Without these, our ability to support others diminishes. To embody this principle, the Stoics urge us to embrace the concept of the dichotomy of control, understanding what is within our control and what is not. Our own thoughts, actions, and self-care practices are within our control. However, the well-being of others, as much as we wish otherwise, is not entirely ours to manage. By focusing on maintaining our own well-being, we ensure that we're better equipped to help those around us without compromising our stability. So how do we integrate self-care into our lives without feeling guilty? It begins with small, consistent acts. Think about what replenishes you. Perhaps it's a daily walk, quiet time for reflection, or setting boundaries around work hours. These moments are not acts of self-indulgence. They are commitments to becoming your best self, ready to support others fully. Ask yourself, what simple act of self-care could you incorporate into your routine this week? Could you prioritize rest, make time for a meaningful activity, or establish a boundary to protect your peace? Remember, Stoicism teaches that self-care is not selfishness. It is an essential aspect of living virtuously and serving others more effectively. With a strong foundation of self-care, we turn to the next sign of undervaluing ourselves, our tendency to deflect compliments, failing to recognize our own strengths and virtues. 6. Accepting compliments graciously. Why do we find it so hard to accept compliments? For many, receiving praise can feel uncomfortable, as though acknowledging our strengths is a form of arrogance. Yet, when we deflect compliments, we are dismissing the virtues and efforts that others genuinely see in us. Stoicism teaches us that humility is not about denying our strengths, but about recognizing them in a balanced and honest way. Reflect on the last time someone praised you. Did you immediately downplay it, perhaps saying, "Oh, it was nothing," or "Anyone could have done that"? These responses may feel polite, but they often stem from an unwillingness to acknowledge our own worth. What if, instead, we viewed compliments as a reflection of the virtues we've cultivated? By graciously accepting praise, we honor not just the compliment itself, but also the work and discipline that allowed us to achieve something worthy of recognition. The Stoics viewed self-awareness as essential to living virtuously. To them, acknowledging our strengths and achievements isn't about feeding our ego, but about understanding the truth of our own character. In moments of genuine accomplishment, we may have practiced courage, patience, or diligence, virtues that are core to Stoic teaching. When we dismiss compliments, we undermine the value of these virtues. Epictetus teaches us that seeing ourselves clearly, with all our strengths and areas for growth, is essential for cultivating humility grounded in reality, not in false modesty. Consider this: when someone compliments you, they are often holding up a mirror, reflecting back the qualities they admire in you. Instead of brushing it off, what if you took a moment to truly absorb their words? Accepting a compliment is a way to practice self-awareness. When you say "thank you" without deflection, you acknowledge the virtues you've embodied and the effort you've invested. Why then do we often feel undeserving of praise? Sometimes it's because we view ourselves through a distorted lens, focusing more on our flaws than on our strengths. Stoicism encourages us to see ourselves objectively, understanding our value without ego or insecurity. Accepting praise is not about inflating our self-worth. It's about recognizing the truth of our efforts and virtues. By accepting compliments, we build a balanced view of ourselves, appreciating our progress without succumbing to pride. Think of the last compliment you received. Did it reflect a quality or achievement you value? Instead of minimizing it, try to see the compliment as a testament to your growth and virtues. Say thank you and allow yourself to accept that recognition, not for the sake of vanity, but as an acknowledgement of your dedication and integrity. As we continue this exploration, we turn now to another powerful Stoic teaching, resisting the urge to compare ourselves with others and instead focusing inward to find peace and purpose. 7. Resisting comparison with others. How often do you find yourself comparing your life to someone else's? In a world saturated with social media, we are constantly exposed to snapshots of other people's successes, relationships, and achievements. This tendency to compare can leave us feeling inadequate, as though our own journey is somehow lacking. Stoicism offers a remedy to this comparison trap, urging us to turn our gaze inward and measure our worth by our own progress rather than by the standards of others. The Stoics taught that our true value comes from within, from how we live in accordance with our virtues and values. Yet, human nature often inclines us to look outward, measuring ourselves against those around us. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the opinions, lives, and choices of others are beyond our control. What we can control, however, is our own response, our own growth, and our own adherence to our values. In moments of comparison, Stoicism invites us to ask, am I living in alignment with my principles? Am I making choices that reflect my true self? When we compare, we often see only a curated highlight reel of others' lives. We overlook the struggles, setbacks, and challenges they face behind the scenes. It's like comparing the full scope of our journey, with all its ups and downs, to a single polished snapshot of another's life. This comparison is neither fair nor constructive. Instead of measuring yourself by someone else's standards, consider, what values and virtues guide your actions? How have you grown in ways that align with those values? Stoicism encourages us to see others as sources of inspiration rather than as measures of our worth. When we encounter someone who embodies qualities we admire, whether it's resilience, wisdom, or kindness, let that observation fuel our own growth. Admiration, in the Stoic sense, is not about diminishing ourselves, but about recognizing the potential within us to cultivate similar virtues. This perspective transforms comparison into motivation, allowing us to appreciate others' strengths without devaluing our own. Reflect on the areas of your life where comparison frequently arises. Are you judging your success by someone else's achievements? Are you measuring your happiness by someone else's relationships or lifestyle? Instead, redirect this energy towards gratitude for your own journey. By focusing on your own growth, you cultivate a deep-seated peace that is unaffected by the lives of others. The Stoics believed that self-worth is rooted in personal integrity and inner growth. When we resist the urge to compare, we anchor ourselves in what truly matters. Ask yourself, am I progressing in ways that are meaningful to me? By shifting from comparison to gratitude, we free ourselves from the pressure of external validation, allowing us to focus on the unique path that is ours alone. As we move forward, we'll explore the next sign of undervaluing ourselves, failing to invest in our own growth and development as a sign of respect for our potential. 8. Investing in self-growth as a sign of self-respect. Do you ever feel that your own growth isn't worth the time or energy? Many of us put our personal development on hold, prioritizing other responsibilities or downplaying our own potential. However, neglecting self-growth is akin to telling ourselves that we are not worth the effort. Stoicism teaches that investing in our inner growth is not just an activity, but a form of honoring our inherent worth. The Stoics believed that each of us possesses the potential for virtue, wisdom, and fulfillment. But, much like a garden, this potential needs nurturing to flourish. If we fail to tend to our inner world, it can become neglected, leaving us feeling stagnant or unfulfilled. Seneca, a renowned Stoic philosopher, compared life to a garden that requires constant attention and care. Without this investment, both the garden and our inner selves may struggle to thrive. Consider this: how much time do you invest in activities that nourish your growth? Whether it's reading a book, learning a new skill, or spending time in quiet reflection, each small act of self-investment is a testament to recognizing your own worth. When we avoid investing in ourselves, it is often due to a deeper issue. Either we believe we're not worth the effort, or we're caught in the trap of immediate gratification, choosing fleeting pleasures over long-term fulfillment. Stoicism challenges us to shift our focus from short-term distractions to enduring growth, reminding us that our worth lies not in what we have, but in who we become. Imagine if each day were an opportunity to cultivate your inner garden. What would you choose to nourish? Stoicism encourages us to see growth as an essential part of life, a journey rather than a destination. Small, consistent actions, the kind that may seem insignificant on their own, add up over time, building resilience, wisdom, and purpose. By investing in ourselves, we honor the potential within us, aligning with the Stoic pursuit of lifelong learning. Reflect on the last time you pursued a skill or activity purely for the sake of growth. Did you feel a sense of purpose? Did you feel closer to your values? Stoicism invites us to make self-investment a regular practice, seeing each small step as a commitment to our own flourishing. Self-growth, in the Stoic view, is not about accumulating accomplishments or accolades. It's about aligning with our virtues, seeking knowledge, and fostering the inner resilience that allows us to face life's challenges with grace. As you contemplate this, ask yourself, what area of my life could I nurture more deeply? What small, consistent action could I take to honor my potential? By shifting our mindset towards self-growth as a non-negotiable aspect of living virtuously, we cultivate a sense of purpose and direction that enriches our lives profoundly. Now that we've explored the value of investing in ourselves, let's delve into another critical aspect of self-worth: learning to seek inner validation over the approval of others. 9. Seeking inner validation over external approval. How often do you find yourself seeking the approval of others? In a world that constantly bombards us with opinions, expectations, and judgments, it's easy to lose sight of our own path, to rely on the validation of others for a sense of self-worth. Yet Stoicism teaches that true peace and fulfillment come not from the fleeting and fickle approval of others, but from an unwavering alignment with our own values. The Stoics remind us that relying on external approval places our happiness and worth at the mercy of others, which is beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius wrote that, It is not the opinions of others that disturb us, but our own judgments about those opinions. When we allow others to define our value, we surrender our inner power. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to look inward, to seek validation from a source that is stable, resilient, and within our control, our own virtues and principles. Why do we crave external approval? Often it stems from insecurity or a fear of not being enough. We seek reassurance from others to fill a void that only our own self-respect and inner alignment can truly satisfy. But what if, instead of looking outward, we turned inward and asked ourselves, am I living according to my values? Am I honoring my principles? Stoicism teaches that the only approval we truly need is our own, provided it is grounded in a life of integrity, courage, and wisdom. Imagine a life where your self-worth isn't influenced by others' opinions, where you no longer feel the need to conform or perform for acceptance. This is the freedom that Stoicism offers, a freedom rooted in self-sufficiency. Epictetus emphasized the importance of focusing on what is within our control and letting go of what isn't. Seeking inner validation over external approval allows us to cultivate a profound sense of self-respect and contentment, one that doesn't waver with the shifting tides of others' opinions. Reflect on the areas of your life where you might be relying on external validation. Are you pursuing certain goals for your own fulfillment, or are they motivated by a desire for applause? Stoicism invites us to examine our intentions, to question whether they are rooted in our own values or in a need for approval. By doing so, we align our actions with our authentic selves, fostering a sense of worth that is independent of others' perceptions. To apply this Stoic practice, consider engaging in regular self-reflection. Set aside time to evaluate your intentions and actions, ensuring that they are rooted in your own principles. This process allows us to detach our sense of value from others' opinions and instead measure our success by our ability to live according to our values. When we find contentment within, we no longer need external validation to feel worthy. We become self-sufficient, complete in ourselves. As you reflect on this shift from external validation to inner strength, we move next to another powerful Stoic insight, creating a positive environment that supports our growth rather than accepting a toxic one. 10. Creating a positive environment. Have you ever felt drained by the negativity of certain environments or people? Our surroundings and the people we associate with can greatly influence our well-being, shaping our thoughts, behaviors, and even our perception of self-worth. Stoicism teaches that while our happiness comes from within, our external environment plays a significant role in supporting or hindering our ability to live in accordance with our values. Marcus Aurelius believed that we have the responsibility to cultivate an environment that is conducive to our growth, health, and peace. He reminds us that while we cannot control all circumstances, we do have the power to choose how we respond to them. Stoicism doesn't encourage us to ignore toxic environments, but rather to recognize when our surroundings prevent us from living virtuously and fulfilling our potential. Ask yourself, does your current environment support your journey toward resilience, kindness, and self-improvement? We often remain in negative environments because of familiarity or fear of change. Whether it's a toxic workplace, unsupportive social circles, or relationships that drain us, Stoicism invites us to question the assumptions that keep us stuck. Am I compromising my values by staying in this environment? Is this setting helping or hindering my ability to cultivate inner peace and resilience? These questions help clarify whether our surroundings align with our pursuit of a virtuous life. The Stoics believed in strengthening our inner citadel, the part of us that remains steady and strong regardless of external challenges. This resilience allows us to remain unaffected by negativity, but it also encourages us to seek or create environments that reflect our values. By surrounding ourselves with people who support, respect, and inspire us, we create a positive foundation that empowers us to grow and live more authentically. Choosing associations wisely is not about avoiding difficulty, but about intentionally seeking relationships and settings that allow us to be our best selves. Consider where you may be compromising your peace or values because of your environment. Is there an opportunity to set boundaries, to distance yourself from influences that drain your energy and replace them with those that uplift you? Stoicism teaches that we are deserving of respect and kindness, and that settling for less undermines our self-worth. By creating a space that supports our growth, we affirm our worth and prioritize our well-being. What small steps could you take to cultivate a positive environment? Perhaps it's setting boundaries with certain people, seeking new connections aligned with your values, or creating a peaceful space for reflection. These actions are not about isolating ourselves, but about building a foundation that strengthens our inner resilience and honors our journey. As we move forward, let's reflect on the next sign of undervaluing ourselves, fearing failure so deeply that it prevents us from pursuing our dreams. 11. Overcoming the fear of failure to pursue your dreams. Have you ever held back from pursuing something you truly wanted because you feared failure? This hesitation, this reluctance to act, is a common experience, yet it often signals a deeper issue, a lack of faith in our resilience and worth. Stoicism teaches us that failure is not something to be feared, but a necessary part of growth. In fact, by embracing the possibility of failure, we open ourselves to a fuller experience of life. Why do we fear failure so much? Often it's because our minds are fixated on potential losses rather than potential growth. Stoicism invites us to reframe this fear, to see setbacks not as final judgments, but as learning experiences that refine us. The Stoics even practiced premeditatio malorum, or the contemplation of worst-case scenarios, to diminish the power of fear. Imagine the worst possible outcome, they advised, and ask yourself, can I endure this? By confronting our fears directly, we often find that they are less intimidating than we imagined, freeing us to act with courage. What if, instead of fearing failure, we welcomed every experience, success and setback alike, with a Stoic mindset of amor fati, or love of fate? This principle encourages us to embrace whatever life brings, not just with acceptance, but with enthusiasm. When we pursue our dreams under the guidance of amor fati, we open ourselves to growth, knowing that each step, whether it brings triumph or challenge, contributes to our development. Stoicism teaches that our worth is not tied to outcomes, but to the virtues we embody in our pursuits. Consider a dream or goal that you've postponed out of fear. What if you chose to pursue it, regardless of the outcome? What virtues would this pursuit cultivate within you? Courage, resilience, wisdom? Stoicism reminds us that these virtues, rather than external achievements, are the true measures of success. By aligning with our values and acting from a place of integrity, we free ourselves from the grip of fear and move toward a life that is truly ours. Reflect on a time when you feared failure but acted anyway. What did you learn from the experience? Stoicism encourages us to see every choice as an opportunity for growth, recognizing that even the challenges add value to our lives. By pursuing our dreams with resilience and humility, we learn that failure is not a barrier, but a bridge, connecting us to our potential. As you reflect on the power of amor fati, consider how you might apply it to your current goals. Ask yourself, what would I pursue if I were no longer afraid of failure? This shift in perspective transforms fear into fuel, allowing us to chase our dreams with courage and gratitude for the journey, regardless of the outcome. With this in mind, let's move to another key Stoic insight: understanding that our worth is innate, independent of external achievements or recognition. 12. Recognizing your inherent worth beyond external achievements. How often do we measure our worth by the titles we hold, the wealth we amass, or the approval we receive from others? In a world that places such high value on outward success, it's easy to tie our self-worth to these transient achievements. Yet, Stoicism teaches us that true worth comes not from what we achieve, but from the virtues we embody and the integrity with which we live our lives. Stoic philosophy offers a radical perspective. Our worth is innate, as constant as the stars. Marcus Aurelius wrote that our true value is defined by our actions, intentions, and adherence to virtue, not by fleeting accolades or recognition. When we rely on external achievements for validation, we place our happiness at the mercy of factors beyond our control. Stoicism encourages us instead to cultivate inner strength, knowing that our worth is independent of the highs and lows of external success. Ask yourself, how much of your self-worth is wrapped up in what you accomplish, rather than in who you are? Stoicism teaches us to shift our focus from external markers of success to the cultivation of virtues like kindness, resilience, and wisdom. When we prioritize these internal values, we create a foundation for self-worth that doesn't waver with the shifting opinions or achievements of others. Epictetus emphasized that our value is not a product of our external circumstances, but of our own character and actions. What if, instead of chasing titles and accolades, we measured our success by how closely we align with our values? Consider the peace that comes from knowing that you are enough, not because of what you have or what others think, but because of the integrity with which you live each day. This shift frees us from the endless pursuit of external validation, allowing us to focus on the things that truly matter and to find contentment within ourselves. Reflect on a recent accomplishment. Was it meaningful because it brought you praise, or because it reflected your dedication, discipline, and values? Stoicism encourages us to find worth in the effort itself, rather than the result, to see the pursuit of virtue as its own reward. By detaching our self-worth from the outcome, we embrace a Stoic understanding of success, living in alignment with our principles, regardless of the external results. As you ponder this shift in perspective, consider how recognizing your innate worth might influence your choices. Imagine a life where your value isn't defined by external achievements, but by the quiet strength of knowing you are enough. Ask yourself, how can I measure my worth by my virtues rather than by my accomplishments? This approach leads to a profound sense of inner peace, a stable foundation that supports you through life's uncertainties. With this deeper understanding of self-worth, let's turn to the final sign of undervaluing ourselves: the misconception that happiness is a reward we must earn, rather than a state of mind we can cultivate. 13. Understanding that happiness is a way of living, not a reward. Do you believe that happiness is something to be earned, a distant goal reached only after certain achievements or milestones? Many of us fall into the trap of thinking happiness is conditional, that it depends on acquiring success, recognition, or the perfect circumstances. Yet, Stoicism teaches that happiness is not an elusive prize. It is a way of living, rooted in the daily choices we make to align our actions with our values. The Stoics believed that true happiness stems from within, from living a life of virtue and resilience, rather than from external rewards. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that contentment is a choice available to us each moment. According to Stoic philosophy, our happiness depends not on external outcomes, but on our ability to live with integrity, gratitude, and wisdom. When we view happiness as a way of living, we free ourselves from the exhausting chase for validation or perfection. Reflect on your own life. How often have you postponed happiness, telling yourself, "I'll be happy when..." Stoicism invites us to challenge this mindset. to ask ourselves whether we're basing our happiness on things beyond our control. What if instead we found joy in the present, in the simple act of living with purpose? This shift in perspective transforms happiness from a fleeting feeling into a steady state of mind, one that is resilient to life's ups and downs. Why is it that we struggle with feeling worthy of happiness? Often, it's because we believe that happiness must be justified, that it's something only deserving people can attain. Stoicism dismantles this notion by emphasizing that happiness is a natural result of aligning with virtue. When we focus on what is within our control, our actions, our attitudes, our principles, we cultivate a form of happiness that doesn't depend on external circumstances. Epictetus taught that true contentment is found in knowing we are living according to our nature, fulfilling our potential with each mindful choice. Ask yourself, are you waiting for external validation before allowing yourself to feel happy? What if happiness were less about what you achieve and more about how you engage with each moment? Stoicism suggests that by shifting our focus from achievement to appreciation, from future rewards to present virtues, we unlock a deep-seated contentment that cannot be shaken by external changes. As you consider the path to happiness, reflect on the ways Stoic philosophy can guide you to find joy in the here and now. Happiness, as the Stoics saw it, is about choosing gratitude, embodying resilience, and practicing self-compassion. When we live with purpose and stay true to our values, happiness becomes a natural part of our daily lives, a quiet, enduring peace that doesn't require external permission. With this Stoic understanding of happiness, we complete our journey through the signs of undervaluing ourselves. By embracing these principles, we build a foundation of self-worth that empowers us to live with strength, peace, and purpose. We have explored 13 powerful signs that may reveal where you've been undervaluing yourself. Each step along this journey, whether recognizing your inherent worth, seeking inner validation, or embracing happiness as a way of living, builds a foundation for resilience and fulfillment rooted in Stoic philosophy. The wisdom of Stoicism reminds us that our true worth doesn't come from titles, accomplishments, or the approval of others, but from the virtues we embody and the inner peace we cultivate. If this journey has resonated with you, consider pausing to reflect on the areas where you might apply Stoic insights in your own life. How can these principles help you live more intentionally, embracing your worth without needing external validation? I invite you to comment below with your reflections or questions, and if you found value in this exploration, please like, share, and subscribe to continue learning and growing together. Let's spread the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, empowering others to recognize their worth and pursue a life of courage, resilience, and purpose. Thank you for joining me on this journey. May you live bravely, love deeply, and find joy in the path of virtue. Until next time, remember, happiness is not a distant reward, but a present choice. Seek it now and let it guide you forward.